Number two. Now this one's usually a sing-along, but I don't want to distract you guys. So the story on this one was we were talking back there about writing the music first or the words first or whatever. I wrote this music, and I took about 4 cracks at writing the words and couldn't think of where to go with it. But I remembered a guy who I met 25 years ago, maybe. And this guy was a jazz pianist, but he also he would direct musicals. And what would happen, he was telling me about what he did, and some resort somewhere every summer would hire him to come and direct a musical, semi-pro kind of thing or whatever. So he'd be the director, and he was telling me he would actually stay at the resort for the whole summer. And he says, pretty cool. And I said, well, that sounds pretty cool. And he looked me in the eye and he said, I always go first class. And I don't know whether he's still going first class or not, but anyway, that kind of stuck with me. And so that eventually became the seed for this song, which is called First Class. And it's a cautionary tale. Things don't always go so well. When it's a sing-along, people sing the last line of each verse with me. But all right, so anyway, here we go. They say he was a genius from the time he was born. He could read and write before he was 3. And he moved when he was 5 into a house he designed. It had hot and cold electricity and a specialized lab to train the apes to feed the peacocks that produced the waste that fertilized the grass. And it all ran like a clock, and if you asked him his motto, he'd say, I always go first class. Well, now, as you can imagine, he had no need for school, because whatever they could teach him, he knew more. But they said they had to check him out in all of the subjects, cause the law said that they had to be sure. So they gave him an exam, but then the only surprise was that he lapped the test, he didn't just pass. But he said, I'm glad I took it, cause that's just one more way to see that I always go first class. Well, his knowledge was power, and his power brought wealth, and that brought him anything he could buy. So conspicuous consumption soon became his routine, asking how much he could get but not why. But his acquisitions always were the top of the line. His collection was the best he could amass. And if anyone asked him why he needed so much, he just said, I always go first class. Well, his intellect combined with his developing taste, and soon he cared for just the finest of art. And he analyzed each object that he came to observe with savoir-faire that would have satisfied Descartes. And this led him to conclusions that seemed clear, like when he said abstract expressionism is just a bit crass. And if anyone asks me, that's all just fine, because I always go first class. Here's the sad part. Well, it all was just spectacular. He'd beaten the game. It was time for him to put his life on cruise. But he hadn't been so brilliant when it came to romance, and he soon had the relationship blues. And it kept getting worse, and when she left him, she called him a name that means the same as derriere. And he said, but babe, you know, I always go first class. But she just said, well, I don't really care. When I do that as a sing-along, the people don't get to sing I always go first class on the last verse. So I apologize by saying this. Well, I know you're disappointed because I finished the song and you didn't get a chance to sing the end. So I'll sing one more verse and you can help me to finish, and so that way I can still be your friend. So you better get ready cause it's coming up soon, and I'm counting on each gent and every lass. But I know you'll do well because my friends are the best, you know, cause I
always go first class.
There you go. So, just figured you might as well get the whole experience. You all came out on an icy night. So anyway, thank you all.